care for people. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys doing? What is popping? What is popping? Like, per. That's how my younger sister talks to me now. Sorry, guys. How are you guys doing? How are you feeling? It's super sunny, like super crazily sunny, and I'm loving it. Bless the Lord, we're glowing. Guys, a lot has been happening for the past 2.5 weeks. It's been crazy. And the fact that I am even here today to give this gist, to give the testimony, to talk about this, it can only be God. See, just let me praise the Lord. Before we get into the gist and all, if you're a new subscriber here, my name is Mombala. Everyone calls me Mimi. You can call me Mimi as well. I am a new immigrant to the United Kingdom. I relocated here with my family. I live in the United Kingdom, Manchester to be precise. And I share my life in the UK, how I'm surviving, how I'm navigating, just everything in between. If it looks like something you would like, of course it will be something you would like. Please come along. Do not make it your last. Like, subscribe, and share. If you are a returning subscriber, I mean the OGs before the G. I'm happy for you guys. You already know how you guys doing. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the share. Thank you for the comment. Thumbs up to you guys. Like, I legit got kicked out of my apartment with my kids. I'm not even joking. And I'll tell you guys how everything happened. I moved into the UK in December, late December actually, but my husband came in first. And when we were going to pay for our rent, we paid for 3 months up front. So we signed a 6-month agreement with a tenancy agreement with my landlord. So you can either sign a 6-month agreement or a 12-month agreement. So I signed a 6-month agreement. So my agreement was supposed to elapse in June 2023. So I paid for 3 months up until March. My rent was supposed to be due March 20th. March 3rd to be precise, or 4th, 3rd or 4th, I'm not sure. I was at work when my husband called me in the evening that, oh babe, the landlord came around to the house. I was like, why? Is there a problem? He said no. That he said he just came to check the house. He just came to see if everything is okay. He just came to, I was like, really? Where did he go to? I was like, no, he just came in, went to the kitchen and just asked if there's any issue. And immediately, the first thing that dropped in my heart was that something unpleasant is about to happen. That was the first thing that dropped. And immediately I prayed that God, whatever it is that is going to happen, just see me through. I left. I just left it at that. So that same night, when I got back from work, I got back around 9:30. When I go home, I just gisted, head and everything. I was in bed watching a movie when a message dropped on my husband's phone. So my husband told me, oh, it was the landlord that just sent him a text. What was the content of the text? He said, this is March. He said, oh, he wants to increase our rent. That his mortgage has gone up. Everything is increasing in the UK. So he wants to increase rent and blah, 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 blah. So my husband showed me the text and I was like, you know what? I don't want to think about it now. In the morning, I'll deal with it. So my husband sent him a reply and told him, when it comes to the affairs of the house, I am not in charge. My wife handles the affairs of the house. The last time you sent me a text, I told you to speak to her. So concerning this as well, you will need to speak to her, with her. That was what he replied. So the next one, he was telling me about the reply and all. So I called him and I told him, oh, hi. Yesterday I heard he came around. He was like, oh, he just came to check the house and all. And for me, my conclusion was he just came to size us up. Like, how are we faring? What have we done with the house? Just to see if these ones, if they are boxed up, if they carry, stuff like that. That was what came to my mind. So I I was like, oh, you came to the house and now you're saying there's a rent increase and blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, there's a rent increase. Everything in the UK has gone up and blah, 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 blah. But that's how everybody is always doing. I can speak to other landlords. I can do this and that and all. I told him, okay, no problem. I heard him. So I told him, oh, I'll call you back. So I dropped the call. And the first thing I did was to call one of my friends who has been in the UK for years. Like, okay, babes, is this how they do stuff? Because I have it in my heart already. Something is at play here. So I was like, no landlord can increase your rent outside of your signed tenancy agreement period, which is June, because I signed for 6-month tenancy agreements. So that was what she told me. I went ahead to call, because every city you live has a council. So I placed a call to council officials, like, hello, I am renting from a private landlord and my landlord wants to increase my rent, blah 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 blah. I explained, and they told me, oh no landlord can do that in the UK. What kind of tenancy did you sign? I was like, it's an assured tenancy. I was like, oh, you cannot increase your rent. Even if he wants to, he has total right to do that, but it has to be outside your agreed period which you signed. I discussed with them. They told me to send my tenancy agreement. I sent them a copy. They read it and everything. So I also called them. My husband called the school, got more information and blah, blah, just to like equip myself. So when I'm talking with evidence, because I'm not about to allow anybody take advantage of me. No, I'm not having that. So I called him back later that day, but it was in the evening. I told him, hi, sorry, I had to, go to work in the morning, blah, 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 this one, so I couldn't continue the call. Anyways, you want to increase rent. Why are you increasing rent? He explained. And I told him, you can't increase rent outside of our signed period. Like, no, if we don't agree to the new rent, then it's going to give us 30 days to move out. That was what he said. Meanwhile, he already sent me a message before that evening that I called him back that, oh, if I'm not okay with the rent increase, he's going to give us 30 days to move out, blah, 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 blah. I had it on record through a chat. He now said it again on the phone. So I confirmed that. So afterwards, and by then, we were supposed to pay a new rent. You get by March. Because December to January, January to February, February to March. We were supposed to pay a new rent for March to April. So this thing I'm talking about was already entering, March, 6th, March 7th. So I told him, no, I'm not going to, pay the new rent because I already spoke to our sponsors. You can only come to the UK either through your work or your school, and we have sponsors here. So they told us this is not how it works and blah blah blah, but if you're insisting, I'm going to have to take this to the council. He froze at that point in time, like, oh, if you want to take it to council, then I'm going to tell council it's because I can't pay my mortgage and I want to sell my house. So I told him what he's doing is not nice, because I'm not even up to 6 months in this house. I'm just getting my footing. I'm just getting my kids settled in school. I'm just getting settled at work. I'm just beginning to even get a clear picture of my life here in a new country, and you want to increase rent. And do you know what is paining me? Is a black man, an African like me. And that was the question I asked, like, even if you don't understand everybody, because as a black person, you have to work twice as hard to prove yourself. You should understand. I'm not even going to lie. I started crying. I wasn't crying because I was weak. I wasn't crying because I didn't know what to say. I was crying because at that point in time, words could not quantify my feelings. I just had to cry. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. When I'm happy, when I'm sad, I cry. So I started crying. And it was like, oh, I don't want you to see me as a bad person. I said, I don't see you as a bad person, but I see you as a mean person. Someone who is unkind. That was what I told him. Immediately, I left it at that and I prayed about it immediately. I prayed about it. After praying about it, I told my husband the next day, let's start looking for an apartment. So I told our landlord I will give him a feedback. Let's start looking for an apartment. And as God will have it, we booked some viewings the following weekend. We did like 2 viewings. The first house we saw, we liked it, but before we could even leave, someone already paid for the this thing. There's something called something deposit, holding deposit. Whoever pays the first person to pay the holding deposit, the house will be reserved for them. So someone already paid. The second apartment we viewed, my husband told me this is the house. So I told my husband, okay. And next thing, we paid for the holding deposit, we paid the landlord fee, they took it off the market, and the next day we started our referencing. Our referencing only took 2 days. 2 days. Immediately we paid, they sent us a link. Oh, shout out to our apartments. Immediately we paid, they sent us a link. After giving us that link, we filled everything, submitted all the documents. I requested for my employer's reference from my office. My husband got all his documents together. We submitted. Immediately we submitted. The next day, it was still going through the referencing stage. So there was a part they asked us for our landlord. I told them I have to call them Canopy that I can't use my landlord in the UK because he doesn't even know I'm moving out. So I have to use my landlord from Nigeria. So apparently you can do that. So I called my landlord straight up. Shout out to you, Alaji. I called my landlord straight up. He was in Dubai. I was like, sir, please, I need you to help me fill a link that will be sent to you. He was like, oh, just let me know when they send it. Immediately, they sent it. He filled it, did everything. And the next day, they told us to pass referencing. Oh, God. Ṣé mi náà rèé, Olúwa o, ṣé mi náà rèé, Olúwa. Mo wá dúpẹ́ oore àtọdúnmọ́dún, mo wá dúpẹ́ oore àtoṣùmọṣù, mo tún dúpẹ́ oore ìgbà gbogbo, ṣé mi náà rèé, Olúwa. Oh, today is a beautiful day. Today, oh, I'm so grateful to God. I'm so grateful. I'm just thankful to God, honestly. Like, I cannot believe this day is here. Honestly, I was scared. I was skeptical. I had so many thoughts and reservations, but everything worked out even more than I planned it. And all thanks to God. In any situation in life, all you need is God. Just have that faith. Like, just believe. I know who I am. Like, I'm not going to be stranded. When others are struggling, I'm not going to struggle. Immediately we did that and everything, I still didn't tell him. I was supposed to pay another rent March 20th. So I didn't say anything. We were just there, just, you know, doing. He still hasn't gotten a response from us. Maybe at that point in time, it was already open. Maybe we'll pay another rent or stuff like that. I told my husband, this new apartment we got is not coming with furniture. Let's start getting our furniture little by little. While we were still in the house, we started getting furniture. We got the bed, we got the mattress, good deals. We got, you know, everything we needed. We started getting little by little. On March 19th, midnight, because it was midnight, he increased our rent. So it was midnight, I replied him. This time I didn't call, I replied that let him accept whatever I'm saying now as an official notice that I'm moving out. And I said, okay, if I'm moving out, that's fine. That means I'll be moving out April 20th. And then I will need to pay for another rent. I told him no. Let him use my deposit with him as my last month's rent. He now said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. I said, nobody does that in the UK. You will be breaking an agreement. I said, no, hold up. You broke the agreement when you increased my rent in between a signed period. And before then, I'd gotten my facts from the council office already. I told him also, when I gave you my deposit, you were supposed to put it in a deposit scheme. Did you put my money in a deposit scheme? Meanwhile, there are 3 major deposit schemes in the UK. I called each of the offices to verify. You can call them and just verify. Please, can you verify if my landlord put my deposit in a scheme with you guys? You give them your address. If there's no record showing, then your landlord didn't register that money. I told him, you didn't put my deposit into a scheme. I didn't receive any policy number. I didn't receive anything. The deposit is in your pocket. You can as well go to your pocket, take out the deposit and use it to pay your rent. I'm not paying you anything extra. And I've gotten my fact right that yes, you can use your deposit as your last month's rent, but you have to get it in writing. So I told him, accept this as my official, you understand, notice that I'm moving out, and use my deposit as my last month's rent since you didn't protect it. He didn't believe it. He was like, no, anyways, that's fine. Since you want to make trouble, we'll meet in court and blah, blah, blah. He now called me the next day. We'll meet in court and blah, 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 blah. I told him, it's all right if you want to go to court. When you get to court, call me. I will show up and trust me, I'll be looking good. I'm not one to make trouble, but I can match up the energy. Being a Christian, being a mom, being a woman doesn't mean you allow anybody, any human being, trample on you. That's not how it works. So I told him, if you want to go to court, trust me, this is a country that has, proper law governing them. I'm not going to get to court and then they will arrest me. No. When you get to court, call me and I will show up. Tell my side of the story. So when he saw that, oh, I can't be intimidated, he couldn't, things were not going his way, he now said, okay, that's fine. You can move out April 20th. That was what he told me. 3 days later, when I woke up, I saw he had put the apartment up for rent. And this time around, it was going for almost more than 1.5 of the rent we are paying currently. Meaning that was his own agenda to just make more money. Immediately he did that, I didn't even argue or anything. I already got another place. So I just wanted to just praise my God that I got another place. And you know the funny part of this story? 2 days before I moved out, because even when my rent expired, my April 20th, council, there's a law that states that if you have children, you can't move out and be on the street until you've gotten another apartment. I don't know how it works for other cities, but that's how it works for Manchester. So that you can't move out. For Greater Manchester, that's how it works. You can't move out and put your kids on the street until you've gotten, when you have underage kids, until you've gotten an apartment. That landlord has to wait. So I didn't move out until April ending. When I was moving out, it was because this house needed cleaning, it needed this one and that one, and I wasn't about to rush. I also had to move my things little by little, so he has to give me that time. Before I moved out, like 2 days before I moved out, I got a call from the council that, oh, someone reported my landlord and they are building a case against him. They are building like whatever legal case, and then they need witnesses that has lived in that house. And honestly, I'm saying it again, 97% of human beings would have taken that. But I'm the kind of person that I'm not going to rejoice over anybody's failure. No matter how brutal, mean, unkind you are to me. Because by then, I will be like you. I told them, oh, whatever it is my landlord did, he did to me and I've sorted it out. God has compensated me by giving me, number one, another house. Number two, getting a response speedily. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not interested. That was what I told them. I told them, oh, but he did this to you, and then if you don't do that now, he's going to do it to someone else. I told them there and there. Before anything else, I'm a human being and I like to treat others like a human being, regardless of what they choose to do. Secondly, I choose to forgive him. Like, even when he has not asked for my forgiveness, I choose to give him that forgiveness. Forgive those who has not even apologized to you. I don't want to be a witness. I don't want to appear in court and say things against him. I don't want to do that. Because the more witnesses they're able to get, the more the probability of him losing his house. I said, no, I'm not doing it. So they zeroed my name out. But I'm telling you the utmost truth. In short, more than 80% of people that has lived in that house before, all of them showed up in court. See, I'm just going to say this. Firstly, a good name. And the day I went to go and drop my key for him, that was what I told him. I told him, see, a good name is better than silver or gold. Because you see, who you are today could even, it could defame your name. Your kids could wake up tomorrow and want to become the governor of a whole state. And then somebody will remember somewhere that, oh, their father was fraudulent. He was unkind to so and so. And then it starts affecting your kids. Whatever you do today, except you don't have people you are like, that you give explanation to. I told him, a good name is better than silver or gold. If you can do this, because before I moved into the house, I heard a lot of stories about him. But I'm not going to judge anybody based on hearsay. When I moved in, it was nice to me. Maybe because I was giving him a lot of money. Who knows? It was nice to me. But he's a very greedy person. That is what I've been able to depict. I won't see him as a bad person. He's just greedy. I think of myself first. When he's getting something from me, he's nice to you. When he's not, he becomes a monster. So he was ready to throw me on the street. And that is where I come in here. Thank God for the laws protecting women. Protecting even immigrants in this country. UK no good, UK no good. If this thing was to happen where I'm coming from, I would be sleeping under Oshodi Bridge. Because that landlord would have used either the police or somebody to harass me and I would have moved out. Been thrown on the road. It can't happen here. A landlord can't even throw you out and lock the door. He will be infringing on your rights. He has to go to court and get something called seizing order or whatever they call it. And he won't even come. They will have to send a representative from the court. And this is where I will give my advice. Please, if you are a new immigrant, don't get me wrong. When you are coming into the UK, firstly, get a fully furnished apartment. And don't sign more than 6 months contract. No matter how good, no matter how perfect, no matter how beautiful that house is. Because if there was any fuck up along the line, you'll be able to get out of it on time than tie yourself to 12 months. Because breaking out of a contract here is like, is one of the most difficult things to do. That's number one. Number two, when you have any issue at all, first of all, call your council. Secondly, call your sponsor. For you to come to the UK, you can come through 2 major ways, either through school or through work. You have sponsors. Your job is your sponsor or your school is your sponsor. Call them, the department in charge of accommodation, and ask questions. Thirdly, you have rights here. Don't let anybody threaten you with court, because that was what he was trying to do. He knew I was a new immigrant. He knew I was just coming to the country. I didn't know so much, but I am not daft. That is what he forgot. Like, I'm coming from a country where so many, for you to survive there, you need to have special skills. I'm not going to get here and then somebody will take me for a fool. No. Get your facts right. If at all there's any issue, call the appropriate person. Even the police here, you have access to them. Call them, ask questions. Nobody will, if you don't ask here, nobody will tell you anything. I don't want to, I don't want trouble. Court. Oh, fear for court. Abi kitu moral court, kitu look good. Number 4, when you're coming here, it's okay to get from direct landlord, because they won't ask you for so much documents. But the moment you've settled, you've been able to, know your way about around, you've been able to sort things out and all, try to get accommodation from a company, because that company has a lot to lose. They won't want to treat you anyhow. They won't want to fuck you up. It has its own disadvantage because number one, you might have to pay 1 or 2 fees. Like for me, I paid extra £150 for them to vet, do all this thing. Meanwhile, I didn't do that to my landlord, but my rights were not totally protected. If not for the fact that I understood a lot of things and I had people to call. I could call the council. I could call so many people. Some people might not have that understanding. Do you get? Try and get from a company, register with them, let them vet you, let them give you house appropriately. And lastly, any decision you want to make at all, see, God can collect your carpet today. It will look like that carpet is the end of the world, but you wake up tomorrow and be living in a glass house. You always have to trust God, like what God has in store for you. This house I'm staying in now is a 3-bedroom.
You wanna say to me now, I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Turn this room, turn it to an ocean. Let me float around. Eyes closed, like we're dreaming even when we're not. You and me got a whole other meaning, I don't know how.
Like, this is one of the most insulated houses I've seen in my life. We hardly turn on our heater. If not, it will kill us. The house is so warm, super duper clean. The day I was moving out, I didn't know.
You and me just know how it feels when we're falling in love. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing.
Don't let anybody take you for a fool in this country. This place is not where we're coming from. You know what I'm talking about. I don't have to start mentioning. You have right here. Make use of it. I just wanted to share that. I'm going to give you guys, you already know, a tour of our newly rented apartment. You know, all the perks, everything that came with it, how I furnished the house. Oh, and the rooms are super massive. So guys, that is my gist for you this sunny Saturday. I hope you guys enjoy my gist. I'm happy now, but trust me, that period was crazy. I moved in 10 days ago into this apartment and I'm loving every bit of it. From your usual baby girl, who has seen the fine girl? I've not about today. And see how your girl is shining. Of course, these people will not allow me flex in peace. But then we move. Anyways, guys, you guys take care of yourself. Have a beautiful weekend ahead. Have a great day ahead and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, guys.
Say what you wanna say to me